Good afternoon. My name is Hanaoui. I'm from University of Kénitra, and today my work is going to be about a mobile agent for detection intrusions, and it's a little bit a survey. So the utility of mobile agents for detections of intrusions. So alongside this presentation, I'm going to present the following plan. I start by an introduction to mobile agents. Then I will give an overview to multi-agent system technology and intrusion detection, or somehow I will just give a briefing about cyber attacks. Then I will move to math and ideas, the utility of mobile agents and how can mobile agents work in improving the preventions. And before the last thing, I will just state a little bit about state of art, how mobile agents have contributed in many areas of search, and how we did just solve some kind of counter measurements of AI. And finally, I will summarize the work. So, as we all know, everything is becoming digitalized, especially as everyone noticed when we started the COVID-19, everyone has to migrate from only simple their work jobs into networking, social media. So everything is digitalized, everything increasingly dependent on distributed networking or on sharing everything on the network. The most important thing is that in the network systems is the security and safety. But unfortunately, if we want to prevent cyber attacks, which is increasing with the use of the internet or of the network, we must start by preventing. So the prevention starts with the detection. Therefore, we opt for the best way to detect cyber attacks or vulnerabilities in the network is by using intrusion detection systems. But those intrusion detection systems have been developed, and many developers have always summed up that there is some countermeasures or some issues with them, especially when we talk about intelligence. Everything is becoming more and more intelligent, so we have to work on the intelligence detection of attacks, and we are not supposed only to depend on the normal intrusion detections. So mobile agents is a technology that has distributed features, and at the same time it's like specified as an intelligent technology when we combine it with the machine learning. So I will start by answering a few questions so that we can understand what's the multi-agent system technology. So at the first hand, what is the multi-agent system technology? The MAS technology is like a technology which consists of autonomous distributed agents. Those agents have the ability to coordinate as well, communicate, migrate, and at the same time like execute their code in different nodes. So, the mobile agent system technology has those features or advantages which make it very suitable for solving a lot of kinds of problems. One of the problems is we use them in monitoring. Sometimes we use them to work on the latency of networks. So, multi-agent system technology is intended to cooperate and solve many problems, especially when it comes to solving tasks which is delegated intelligently. Intelligence, mobility, and reducing the network load is one of the agent's capability to do when it's combined with another kind of technologies, and when we conducted them with the machine learning algorithms. So they become more involving and more efficient. And one of the most important abilities that they are capable of adapting to all kinds of environments, especially they are distributed and they can migrate from one station to another. So, in generally, I sum up what I mentioned earlier in a small schema, starting why using the mobile agent. We can start by the first thing, which is they are autonomous. What we mean by an agent that it is autonomous. An agent can make independent decisions in order to make their goal existence. So how do you achieve this goal, like the delegated goal? They do it by themselves. there is no one that can delegate the task to them and order them to do it proactively. So the second one is they are proactive. What we mean that they are proactive, the agent, they are proactive because they has been delegated a particular goal, and it does make it like it does what it does to assure or to achieve that goal, no matter what. And before last, they are reactive. What do we mean when we talk about the reactive? It's the ability of being flexible with the change in the environments. And they can adapt to the environment that they are going to visit, or they are going to go to execute some code there. So, and before last, they have the ability to communicate. They can use their own language to communicate between each agent to delegate different activities to ascertain the execution of their goal. So, in the following slides, I will just dedicate the work to some common of cyber attacks for the network. We have so many, I cannot go through all of them, but I will just go from the famous and the common attacks in the network. So, security is becoming a bottleneck. We all know that, we all agree about that. So the currency, the importance in computer system and communication is the safety and security. So we should be assured to know what kind of attacks that exist in the network and how we are going to prevent them. So as we said earlier, we can prevent those kind of attacks by detecting first. So the general, we have a lot of different research and a lot of definitions of cyber attacks. But mostly we found that in the literature, all having one common things. That when we talk about a cyber attack, we talk about touching or we are looking to touch the integrity, confidentiality, and also the availability of the data. So either we compromise one of those or we compromise all of them. So the technological evolution is being in progress. So attackers, they are also in progress. So they are trying to develop the ways that they can attack the network without even being tracked or either being found out. So what are the famous or the common cyber attacks that well known? I mentioned the most four important ones, and which is starting with the first one, which is the distributed DOS attack, which is very known and common when we are talking about web application or services. Why? Because the attacker is trying to make the source or the server unavailable when it's needed. And this can compromise, if we talked about, as an example, we are talking about an application of selling products, and we have someone that attacked the application, and every client is trying to consult the services or try to buy something, it will find it unavailable. This will make a huge losses to those people who are using the web. So let's move on to the second one, which is the remote to local user attack. It's when an attacker sends packets to the machine over the networks and try to exploit the machine vulnerabilities so to have access to the local machine. So he started from the network, sending packets to the distant machine, then he will try to find the vulnerability using that kind of packets, and when it's arrived, it will just consume all the vulnerabilities so they will have access to the machine. This attack can touch the integrity, confidentiality of the information. So if we move on to the third one before the last, user to route attack. So the attacker, what he does, he starts with the access to the source of a normal user, then he will move on to the root access user. So if we are just talking about a simple machine that we have an ensemble of, we have a global or a various of people that they are using the same source, but they are identifying from different user accounts. So I will start by attacking only a normal user to access to the root. And if he has permission of root access to the machine, he can do or alterate a lot of kind. He can even touches the access control permissions. So, and the last one is the probing, which is very famous. And as if we studied the security or we even studied the cyber attacks, we know about how to try using Nmap in a simple machine. Nmap is one of the probing technology that can allow you, like a software. It's a probing software that allows you to get information about the machine that you are. So he can just, using the probing, the attacker can collect a little bit of information, like what your MAC address, which is very important, like address IP, what kind of operating system that you are using, and those kind of information, you can just get access to all your services and the machine that you are using or something like that. So we have different types, just an example of the types of these attacks I mentioned earlier. There are some the utilities that they are used to prove those attacks. So to sum up, in general, computer networks prone to various cyber attacks. We all agree about that. As long as we are connected, there are some people, either they want to collect information or sell it, either they just want to prevent you from accessing a certain kind for, I don't know, they have a goal or something. So the first thing, or the first remedy, is we cannot just solve a problem without detecting where is the problem or what's the source of the problem. Therefore, one of the common used is the IDS. So IDS, intrusion detection systems, are the first step that we use to prevent an attack. So in the coming slides, I will give just an overview about intrusion detection systems. So generally, the first line of defense is the IDS. If you have an IDS, you have a first step. We are not going to sum up and say and conclude that if you are using an IDS, your system is, we can say that it's secure. No, it's not, and it will never be just only by detecting, but also by preventing. What is an IDS? An IDS is a software solutions, and it can be classified into two common types, which is either a host-based or a network-based. If we talked about the host-based network, it's designed to monitor the activity on a single node or a single post. By analyzing the logs of your computer or your system, the system calls the algorithms or the application's activity. Sorry. So when we talk about the network-based, is the type of IDS that analyze the flow of the packets on the network. It's not only about the only system that has the IDS, but the whole network. And it starts by analyzing the entry points. The entry points, like we are talking about a hub or a switch in our architecture. I will give you a short image with the source that can say what's host intrusion detection systems. So as you can see, after we have a network, router, firewall, we have an IDS, and after the firewall, which will be a switch. Well, mostly, what does an intrusion system do? In general, we can say, as its name based, it's an intrusion detection system. It helps you to detect if you have kind of intrusion by analyzing either a source or a packet. So its job is to detect and give you analysis or logs about what he found out. But after that, it's either for the one in charge of assuring the security of the system to do the preventions. An IPS is a different thing. So they are divided, like we say, IDS, they are divided in two, but mostly that we noticed a lot of people use the host network detections. So we say that IDS, it's for prevention, detection, not prevention. We detect, but IPS to prevent. So even though we say that there is IDS that detects, we can say it's not only stops on detection, on detection the intrusion, it also has to be its performance should be at a high level of detecting, and could be able to make the network or the system available even though it's doing their work without consuming the source. So IDS developers continue to complain about some shortcomings coming with the IDS. What kind of shortcomings? I'm not going to mention them, but if you are interested, I can give you some resources that have a detailed, all kind of shortcomings, and they are very current. I'm going to only mention one of the three that mobile agents can really help reduce those shortcomings. So, those shortcomings in the slide are shortcomings that can mobile agents work on and reduce or improve or empower. So if we started with the lack of efficiency, what does it mean? IDS are often required to do evaluation of a lot of events in real time. So we have a website with hundreds of clients like serving the website. He has to do the analysis of each bucket going through the network and has to do that fast in real time, and then he must give it to the one in charge so that he can perform prevention from the logs that he's been sent. So typically the network is the biggest, the largest we can see. So a lot of packets every time. IDS, they are not capable just to perform everything every time and stay like giving you your source stable without being latency, lacking of efficiency and latency. So if we talking about the limited flexibility, what does it mean? IDS, they have like typically have been written for a specific environment or specific applications like systems. We don't have them for all kinds of environments. Either it's going to be for a network, which is going to be in a server, which is going to be controlling a switch, or either it's going to be in a normal system or in a normal server. So they have difficulty to use their environments. They are either installed in a similar environment or it's not. So the detection mechanism can also be difficult to adapt to different environments. We have a lot of different mechanisms that can be integrated in the detection systems, but we cannot all of them being able or apt to be executable in different environments and be stable for everyone. So before us, there is a limited response capability. Many IDS are beginning to implement automated systems, which helps to reduce the specificity of the time, which every time an IDS has to do analysis and send the analysis to the one in charge. But if the one in charge couldn't go through all the analysis, the attack can be there somewhere in a packet or in a request. So the gap between the network and how the one in charge going to do the analysis is limited. Therefore, they started thinking that we should limit the response of the IDS capability. So generally, we say that the defense is in the intrusion attack, but as we saw, there are some shortcomings. We cannot stay in the old-fashioned IDS and without migrating to a new one and develop new things that the intrusion detection system can be capable of solving. So we cannot say that we are going to use only one, the old-fashioned intrusion detection systems. For new developed, as I mentioned earlier, that there is attackers, they develop new things every time. And as we mentioned, now we have different utilities, different resources, different technology. We are talking about cloud, we are talking about IoT. So different attacks for different systems, for different environments. We cannot specify for every system each time a software that will do the detection. So for this purpose, or for finding a common solution for the mentioned outcomes, there is a possibility. So mobile agents can really potentially overcome several limitations to some existence IDS, and only with employing some kind of components or architectures. So mobile agents can overcome the network latency and also can overcome the dynamic adaptation. As well, it can overcome the platform independencies, as well protocol encapsulations. As well, it can play a role in minimizing the attacker ability to deceive the IDS. a smart attacker can really estimate that there is an IDS. It's eventually, if you have a secure system, you will have an IDS integrated in your system. A smart attacker will not just mention that it will just not do in plans that you have IDS. And if we state in the old-fashioned IDS that has old-fashioned components, it will not detect that the attacker can deceive him. So with mobile agents, we can really minimize this impact. And I will, in this kind of, the next slide, I'm only going to mention some state of art that really deployed the mobile agent systems in the intrusion detection systems, and they had a really nice results. So as we can find that Ibrahimi and Yahya they proposed a novel distributed multi-agent IDS architecture called MAT-IDS, integrating the mobile agent methodology and data mining technique to accommodate the special requirements in distributing IDS. Hero have presented the structure of mobile agent visualization and connectorless agent-based IDS more flexible and adaptable, and they also proposed their work using the deep learning. And before last, I tried to give you some kind of the state art from different how mobile agent can play a role in different models. There is with the using of the snort. As we can find in this paper, they introduced a new framework with the integration of snort rules with the mobile agents. So, to summarize alongside this presentation, security threats are the biggest points or the biggest concern in the networks, especially when we talk about e-commerce, new application, new technologies that all connected. So mobile agent technology makes it possible to detect distributed attacks and empower the intrusion detection systems. The anonymous, mentioned advantages that I mentioned earlier in combining mobile agents with the IDS, we can say that mobile agents that do not only improve the detection technique, yet they really reshape the applied technique to the IDS. So with mobile agents, we really can solve some shortcuts, and especially when we talk about the distribution, adaptation to new environments, different environments, if we consider their mobility, we can solve problem of adaptation as well problem of the network latency without forgetting, with integrating machine learning to the mobile agent with low time of executions, it can really reduce a lot of things and really improve to make an intrusion detection system somehow efficient. We cannot say 100% efficient, but at least we can solve 18% of the problems when it comes to the intelligent ideas with combining with mobile agents. And this is some references of the papers I mentioned earlier. And I really thank you for being here, and I'm ready for any kind of questions. Thank you.
Merci Madame SANAE pour cette présentation très rythmée et qui tient notre attention, même si le sujet pour certaines personnes est totalement nouveau, et c'est le cas notamment pour moi. Et donc, est-ce que l'auditoire a des questions pour Madame SANAE? Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Sachant que la présentation était vraiment rythmée et très riche en contenu. Donc, moi je vais me lancer quand même sur une petite réflexion. Vous qui êtes, qui semblez maîtriser bien le sujet. Vous êtes en quelle année déjà?
C'est ma dernière année.
C'est votre dernière année. Donc on sent que vous maîtrisez très bien le sujet, et c'est tant mieux. Et donc pour les attaques et tout, bon, moi je n'y connais pas grand chose, je l'avoue. Mais on entend cette musique, et des fois c'est une réalité. On dit que les attaques sont dues, par exemple concernant les smartphones, sont dues au manque de rigueur des constructeurs de smartphones, notamment Huawei, Samsung, Apple, qui sont dans cette dynamique de lancement de nouvelles versions de téléphones assez rapidement. et il néglige un peu cet aspect sécuritaire. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord déjà, ou est-ce que vous avez des informations sur cette idée, des effets parce que ces faits sont sous-sourcés quand même.
Je suis partiellement d'accord.
Partiellement, d'accord.
Pourquoi? Parce que il y a une partie de la partie de sécurité concernant l'operating systems qui sont impliqués dans les systèmes, dans les téléphones ou bien les systèmes mobiles, à l'utilisation de par exemple la partie route de certaines applications. Il ne faut pas être implémenté ou bien installé d'une façon sans avoir l'accès route, et l'accès route il n'est pas accessible pour n'importe qui. Il faut avoir la partie accès développeur et ainsi de suite, mais il y a une partie. L'ensemble, quand le constructeur des mobiles, des smartphones, il néglige la partie côté système, access control. So, il y a des vulnerabilities concernant les accès control. Et c'est ça, ils ne sont pas intéressés par la partie de l'amélioration. Si tu veux, votre téléphone ou bien votre mobile application sera sécurisée, il faut installer d'autres outils. Sinon, ils ne vont pas perdre leur marché car sur les autres sociétés, elles ont envie de perdre d'argent.
Donc pour vous, c'est une question d'argent, ils ne veulent pas investir pour régler ces problèmes de sécurité, c'est ça?
Oui, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de recherches faites de la partie mobile concernant la sécurité mobile, les systèmes, à l'utilisation des parties de modèle ACL, mais les intégrations de ces résultats de recherche sont en cours sur des papiers ou bien juste.
Merci pour ces précisions. S'il y a des questions, des réflexions peut-être sur cet aspect sécuritaire, nous qui avons des smartphones et qui nous-mêmes ne sommes pas sensibilisés, nous faisons des installations de plusieurs applications sans même dire est-ce que c'est sécurisé, c'est pas sécurisé. Nous faisons trop confiance
à la technologie.
Nous faisons très confiance à l'App Store et au GAFA.
Mais il y a des applications qui sont accessibles au Play Store ou bien Google Store sans d'être analysées par le système de sécurité. Alors, par exemple, on a des utilisateurs qui ils ont travaillé sur une application sans le respect d'une architecture de sécurité lors de leur développement des applications. Il y a un aspect de sécurité qu'il faut être respecté au cours du développement des applications. N'importe si c'est une application mobile ou bien une application desktop, il faut respecter une architecture de sécurité avant le déploiement. Mais il y a la partie de build de cette application ou bien de ce code, l'ensemble des lignes de code qui être exécuté et bien déployé. Il y a des outils qui assurent que votre application est sécurisée ou non. Mais l'ensemble des développeurs, ils ne font pas ça, les sociétés ne font pas ça. Et la partie Google ou bien Play Store qui fait la partie d'accepter l'application comme telle qu'elle est, il ne fait pas l'analyse de bout de code. Alors c'est à nous de voir, est-ce qu'on va tester et voir si vraiment l'application est sécurisée ou non.
Oui, mais bon, vous êtes connaisseuse, mais les autres personnes ne connaissent pas, donc c'est un peu difficile pour eux quand même d'attaquer ces...
Parmi les plus innovants des attaques concernant dans la partie mobile, c'est quand on reçoit un link.
Oui,
un link cliquable avec une permission. Il y a une sorte. L'un des plus importants, il faut vérifier le link. Est-ce qu'elle commence par HTTPS ou non? S'il commence juste à l'utilisation de l'HTTP, c'est un link qui n'est pas sécurisé. Il peut être une torsion. Il peut être une torsion. Et avec ça, l'attaquant peut avoir l'ensemble du trafic des informations concernant votre compte Gmail, je ne sais pas, les applications. Pour le moment, on parle tous de Big Data. Le Big Data, c'est la tendance, mais le Big Data, c'est d'argent. On peut voir juste qu'est-ce que tu consultes, qu'est-ce que t'intéresse dans votre communication. Et avec les pubs, je peux avoir plus d'argent. Les sociétés vraiment achètent beaucoup de data pour avoir ciblé leurs clients. Alors, ils ne peuvent pas être une attaque c'est une malveillante attaque qui va altérer votre information et tout, mais il va vendre votre information. L'un les axes les plus importants, c'est la confidentialité. Il n'y a pas de confidentialité, il n'y a pas de sécurité.
Et selon vous, est-ce qu'il y a une application tierce que nous pouvons installer et qui va sécuriser tout notre téléphone ou toutes les applications.
Il n'y a pas une application qui va faire le tout. Pour moi, je trouve qu'il faut avoir les gens, être conscients et chercher de lui-même, voir une propre formation pour assurer la sécurité de lui-même. Et après, on voit d'autres applications qui vont vous aider seulement d'avoir la prévention d'une attaque. C'est juste. Sinon, les autres sociétés vont perdre d'argent.
D'accord. Écoutez, merci beaucoup. C'était très agréable de vous entendre. Et merci encore une fois. Oui, désolé, une question. D'abord, merci pour la présentation.
Merci à vous également.
Est-ce qu'il y a des projets bien innovatifs dans ce domaine, c'est-à-dire dans le cadre de l'intelligence artificielle ou bien machine learning?
Je ne sais pas que vous avez entendu d'un antivirus qui s'appelle Smart Business Est. C'est un antivirus Est. Il est trop cher, bien sûr, parce qu'il est très avancé dans la partie de la détection des vulnérabilités et ainsi de la prévention des attaques. Cette compagnie, ou bien cette société, il fait la partie d'intégration dans la partie détection et prévention. Il utilise des machine learning pour la détection. Il a déjà des projets. Ainsi, il y a un centre de recherche qui utilise la partie mobile agents dans la partie de la détection et la prévention des attaques. Ce centre de recherche, il est à Prague et il s'appelle CA Centre. Il travaille aussi avec NASA et Avast. Il développe des algorithmes qui peuvent être applicables à l'utilisation des agents mobiles et d'autres technologies pour assurer la partie de sécurité. Mais il y a des travaux qui sont applicables au marché, ce ne sont pas juste des recherches, à mon avis.
Et donc ici, vous avez fait la promotion des systèmes multi-agents qu'on connaît, qui sont utilisés dans plusieurs domaines.
Ouais.
Est-ce que dans votre thèse, vous avez proposé une architecture multi-agents qui vous aide à éviter les intrusions ou pas encore?
Pour moi, j'ai travaillé tout au long de ces 4 années sur l'amélioration des agents mobiles sécurité. J'ai parlé comment utiliser l'agent mobile pour assurer la sécurité, mais quand on utilise l'agent mobile dans d'autres modèles, par exemple, on a des applications, si je vais donner un exemple d'une application qui utilise l'agent mobile comme une technologie intelligente pour faire un achat en vente. Imaginez-vous que vous avez une application mobile, par exemple, ou bien un site web. Tu entres le site web, tu remontes que j'ai besoin d'acheter un téléphone ou bien un PC portable avec un prix. Mon budget minimum, c'est une somme d'argent avec un ensemble de caractéristiques. Cette application, s'il est à l'utilisation de mobile agents et leur intelligence, il va vous faire, il va chercher toutes les offres possibles pour avoir un PC portable ou bien un téléphone que vous avez demandé avec les caractéristiques que vous avez demandé ou bien plus que vous avez demandé avec un prix négociable. Cela, on partage aussi que l'agent mobile, il peut avoir votre credential et passer des achats, et passer l'achat à différents serveurs. Dans ce cas, l'agent mobile, il est risqué d'avoir attaqué par les environnements qu'il va être exécuté. Mon travail, c'était à améliorer la sécurité d'agents mobiles. Tout d'abord, j'ai proposé un modèle qui assure la sécurité d'agents mobiles si on veut l'utiliser dans une application. Et ainsi, j'ai travaillé sur la partie d'amélioration de la sécurité de l'agent mobile avec l'utilisation des signature schemes. J'ai proposé une signature scheme qui utilise la partie distribution et partie clé distribuée pour assurer la sécurité de l'agent mobile qui est dans le réseau. Le problème d'agent mobile, il est migrable, il peut migrer. Mais quand il sort de votre plateforme, il est proactif, autonome. Il fait ce qu'il veut, il peut voyager à n'importe quelle station, il va exécuter le code dans n'importe quel environnement et on risque qu'on perde l'argent. C'est pour cela qu'on améliore la partie de sécurité agent mobile. Mais qu'on concerne l'utilisation de l'agent mobile dans l'amélioration des technologies, il est très efficace. Surtout, on trouve beaucoup de travail utilisant l'agent mobile pour la partie de l'exécution de bout de coude, ESN, manette, vanette, mais ça reste juste pour l'exécution de code dans différentes stations, ou bien pour de faire de monitoring, mais pour faire la prise de décision, ou bien faire des achats, des ventes et tout de lui, d'une façon intelligente, il n'est encore pas sécurisé pour l'exécuter. Mon travail, c'était assurer la sécurité d'agent mobile.
D'accord. Et votre soutenance, elle est prévue pour quand?
Pour le début de l'année prochaine, Inch'Allah.
Eh bien, on vous souhaite une bonne soutenance.
Merci, merci à vous également. Merci.